The American people got to be smart and figure out what they want. Yes, sir. Are we going to get a pipeline? Probably not with this president, no. I think what we'll do in the House again is we'll probably put forth a piece of legislation calling for the Keystone Pipeline. But the Senate probably won't take it up. If the Senate takes it up, it would actually pass the Senate. Nothing is clearer than where this president... Hey, look, this president's done two things the last few weeks that are just outrageous. When he turned down that Keystone Pipeline, and he basically took his, I'll say it, middle finger to working class folks in this country and said, I don't care about 20,000 jobs. I don't care about it. And then what he did to the Catholic Church and religious institutions this week, I'll tell you, every Catholic, everybody who believes in religious freedom in this country needs to stand up against this president. Because you are going to see, you're going to see Catholic institutions, you're going to see religious institutions basically no longer provide health care for their employees because they will not, they are not going to do things that go against their religious conscience. And this president is trying to make them do that. And that's wrong. And look, I'm a Catholic kid. My Catholic church tends to stay out of politics. No longer. They better get involved now. Because this president just stepped all over religious freedom. This is a huge, huge issue. Sorry, I leapfrogged off of your Keystone Pipeline. All right, I'm coming at you. What?
Enough of the can't do. Okay? That's all we've been hearing.
From who?
You, for one, nothing's going to happen the rest of this year.
Now, can I add one comment?
Go ahead.
That's good.
I don't want anything to
I was
happen.
just going to say, that's good.
It's not that nothing can happen. I don't want anything to happen.
Okay. Now,
Very clear about that.
here's what I want to happen. Section 1031, 1032 that passed with the military appropriation.
Which I voted against.
Understand that. Will you sponsor a bill that adds one word in between Taliban and Al-Qaeda? It's actually two words. Drug cartel. You sit on Homeland Security. That's point one. Point two, for Homeland Security. How many years does it take to investigate HSBC and $36 billion of criminal money? That is not political issues. That is defense issues. And I'm not going to accept zero until after the new administration comes in. If it can't be supported now, I'm sorry, sir, all of you are out. Because there's no excuse. You tell me Harry Reid's not going to take up the cartel. You tell me Harry Reid is not going to defend the country. Okay? That's not a political issue.
You know very well I voted against the defense reauthorization a while back because it did have these two sections which contained language which gave our government much too much when it came to power to step over the rights of American citizens. I am co-sponsoring legislation to try to repeal those two sections. Your notion of inserting the word drug cartel in there will make a heck of a lot of sense. I agree. Eric Holder came in front of our committee last week. It was fascinating. The basic upshot is they're hiding stuff. They're hiding stuff. And so I think it's gotten to the point where Darrell Issa, the chairman of the committee, is pretty darn close to holding this guy in contempt. And if you hold him in contempt, what that means is eventually he's got to turn over the documents that have been requested. And if he doesn't, he goes to jail. We are creeping. Well, we're also getting very close to the point of a call for a special prosecutor, an independent prosecutor. Right now, he's got his inspector general investigating him. That's like his brother investigating him, so it's going nowhere. I find it so troubling. You can't help but think that they are hiding something. They just refuse to turn over documents. I know Issa's got his patience is about this long. So he's about at his point where he's about ready to say that's enough. So I think you're going to see that again. Continue to ramp up. He was very disappointed this week in front of our committee. He didn't really say anything. Thoughts, issues, questions about anything? You in the red shirt.
Joe, I think I do have a few Democratic friends, and they are listening to what's going on with Obama. What do you think is the tipping point where they are, even members of Congress, that can say that's enough disrespect of Congress in general? Because he disrespects everything, every congressman. What's the tipping point?
Look, here. You've heard me say this before, so here's the old teacher in me. If this is the size of the voting pool this year, you've got about 25 to 30% of America that's going to vote for Obama, even if he's not reading. You've got about 25 to 30% of the population that's going to vote for the Republican, even if he's not reading. You got about 30 to 35% in the middle that either don't pay attention, they're really busy, they really do kind of swing both ways on issues. These people in the middle are going to decide the election. Two things are going to decide this election. Where do all these people in the middle go? And of Obama's base and the Republican base, who's more revved up? Who's more excited? In 2008, their base was more excited. Our base wasn't excited at all. John McCain was 140 years old. We were sick of Bush. We were sick of the war. Our base stayed home. So that makes a difference, and then people in the middle make a difference. Look, I've been very upfront in what I think about this president, and it's gotten me in plenty of trouble. So let me repeat it. I don't know of anybody who voted for this president 3 years ago based on anything he had done. He really didn't do much, didn't have much of a resume. I don't think many people voted for him based on anything he said. We were all caught up in the historic nature of who he was, right? That's what most of the country, I believe, was caught up in. That's not going to happen now. Now he has spent 3 years doing things. And I would argue doing things to really destroy what makes this country great. And I think there are a lot of independents that believe that, and I think there are a lot of Democrats that believe that. Now, publicly, a lot of them may have a hard time saying that. Privately, I know they feel that way. The danger is you always want to be respectful. And so respectfully, if you believe like I do that this president's just in over his head, he had no idea what he was doing to begin with, and you'd like to remove him from the White House, the only way you're going to do that is to focus on the issues. If you get personal and you say, he's a bad guy, and he's trying to destroy the country, he was born on another planet, blah, blah, and you start throwing all these things out here, you are going to lose people in the middle. But if you say his health care legislation is going to destroy small business. It's driving doctors out of the profession. If you say that he's going to tax all of us, that his regulations are crippling industry, if you focus on the issues, you'll beat him. And I think if you focus on the issues, most independents are with you, and enough Democrats are with you as well. Thoughts, issues, questions? Yes, sir.
What can be done since it is an election? Romney's an election. What can be done to the Republican Party to bring those issues forward? Because I'm so offended at that. A lot of people that I talk to don't even know what they are. Don't even know what they don't take. They have no clue. They the Democrats solve what he actually is doing. What he did. Maybe they didn't wake up.
Well, but there's enough. Again, I wish he were here. I wish I could have a debate with the president right now. Because you'll beat him on two issues. Don't you dare tell me the unemployment rate is 8.3%. That's a lie. That's a lie. Mr. President, you know that. And you had a chance 3 weeks ago to instantly put 20,000 construction workers, welders, pipe fitters, and on to work. And you said no because you listened to your environmental lobby. And Mr. President, this past week, you put a rule in place that's going to cripple Catholic and religious institutions in this country. Those two issues alone, my God, think about this. If our country now is more broke than we've ever been, and it's not even close. This country's not working. People are losing their homes. We're losing freedoms every day. If people aren't riled up enough to go out and vote, then heaven help us. What's ever going to save us? Heaven. Then we are beyond being saved. The two most important issues in the country right now are this debt, which will kill our kids and our grandkids unless we do something about it, and the fact that the economy out there is dying. Obama has things he thinks are going to fix those two things. Baloney. He's done them, he's made them worse. The Republicans have a different idea. And you may not love Romney, you may not love Gingrich, I don't love either one. You may not love Santorum, you may not love Paul, but you got to have enough faith that one of them is going to be very different than this president. And again, remember, if you put a Republican in the White House and they do nothing about this debt, and they do nothing about getting government out of the way so this country can work again, then move aside Republicans. Here comes something else. I've not at all been bashful in saying that. I'm a Tea Party conservative. I run as a Republican. I'm a Republican congressman. If my party does not address the issues that are pushing this country off a cliff, I'm going to push my party aside, and we're doing something else to try to save this country. But look, I get pretty wound up because I got to go back to Washington tomorrow, and I really don't like going there. But if we're not wound up now, we can't be saved then.
Again, the word is not getting out. Let's light a fire on the farm so that he gets out.
No, it's not. It's not Boehner.
Mayor.
It's up to us. It's up to us. Here's my appeal. If you're a Democrat and you're in the House, I apologize if this offends you. The Democrats are not concerned about this debt because they are the party of government. They just want government to keep it safe. So if you are really concerned about this debt and what it's doing to this country, you can't vote for a Democrat. Now, unfortunately, a lot of Republicans really don't do anything about the debt either. But they're your only hope right now. They're your only hope. You sent about 20 of us to Washington 2 years ago. We've done an okay job. If you don't think I'm too radical, you got to send 20 or 30 more just like me to Washington this year. Because we have to keep a boot up the butt of our Republicans to make sure they do what's right. But it's not going to come from John Boehner, and truthfully, it's not going to come from me. It's going to come from you all who have just had it. And I'm telling you, don't be apathetic this year. If we lose this election this year, I don't know that we can ever recover. I'm serious. Obamacare, if we don't repeal Obamacare, our health care system in this country will never be the same. Family doctors, remember that image of your family doctor? Gone. People are going to leave the profession. Private industry, private health insurance will be gone. And it will cripple small businesses. We have one chance to repeal Obamacare. That's this election. If we don't do it this election, we can't undo it. Boy, I'm too wound up. Yes, sir.
Where's the union leadership? Why aren't they upset about Keystone? I don't hear word one from any of them.
It's a great point, Hoffa.
Nothing.
Well, now the union leadership, unions worked the president hard because they wanted Keystone. And we're not just talking about Keystone. The president could snap his fingers and there are projects lined up beyond Keystone. He could open up going after our natural gas. We should be drilling all over the place. You talk about jobs. This president right now has a foot on energy production here. That's a good thing for our energy policy. It's also a good thing to put Americans to work. Union leadership is upset, but
Not the union.
no,
Leadership.
but union leadership will probably fall into line with the Democrats. But that's the leadership. The union rank and file, they are beyond upset. Because their leadership told them 3 years ago, elect this guy and you're all going to be working. You're going to be living in big, beautiful homes with great jobs. Hasn't happened. So the union rank and file has had it. Republicans have a great opportunity this year to get union rank and file folks to vote for us. I hope we don't blow it. Yes, sir.
On Monday, Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg on Egyptian TV said, quote, "I would not look to the U.S. Constitution if I were drafting one in the year 2012. You coupled that with the individual mandate of Obamacare and what he's done with the contraceptions. Do we live in a post-constitutional nation?
Do we live in a post-constitutional nation?
What does that mean?
Listen to Mark Levin.
Here's what I think it means. My fear is we live in a country right now in which we have a president who does not hold that document sacred. We live in a country right now where this thing that our founders set up not that long ago is ever so close to being lost.
That's been going on for a damn long time.
It's been going on for a while. Both parties have crept us along this path. And I'd argue that this president has taken it to frightening heights. And you know what? Here's something politicians never like to say. This is all your fault. You, and yes, you, my Arbor, this is your fault. Because we have all slept for years. We've slept for 40 to 50 years. We've lived our lives. raised our kids, tried to start a business, tried to go on vacation whenever we could. Every 2 or 4 years an election would come along. We really didn't pay attention, and we typically vote for the one name we knew. And a funny thing happened. We woke up 40 years later and we found out we're broke. We found out we have a government that's doing things our government was never, ever designed to do. Shame on us for letting it get that way. You know, we're all upset about these professional politicians, these Republicans and Democrats who go to Washington and they stay there forever and they get rich and they forget about us, right? Makes us all mad, right? Who sends them there? Who sends them there?
Who leaves them there for years?
And now, I think we've woken up, which is a good thing. I think this president has helped wake us up. Because, look, if we'd have elected John McCain 3 years ago, might have just sort of been, we'd sort of be crawling along the same path. But this president hasn't been crawling. This president has been running. He has been running down a road which every single step he takes moves us farther from the America that we all grew up loving and believing in. And I'm telling you, folks, we are so precariously close to losing it. Yes, sir.
Bring it closer to home. What do you think is going to happen with the great
I think the rest of the country is going to secede from Illinois. Is that possible? I'll have my staff look into that. Look, Illinois is a, I got to be careful what I say. I'm born and raised here. Illinois is a great state. Our government is an embarrassment. Now, I don't care whether you're talking about Republicans or you're talking about Democrats. Anytime you have one party in control of a state or a city forever, you're going to have corruption and you're going to have government that doesn't work. The Democrats have run Springfield forever. And they've cheaply gotten us into this mess. Now, there hasn't been a real vibrant Republican Party in Illinois for too long. That's got to change. But you talk about a city that's broke. You talk about a governor that is just clueless. This guy gives a state of the state address, and he doesn't talk about Medicaid, which is putting us over the edge. He doesn't talk about our debt crisis. He doesn't talk about the pension crisis. There was a headline in the Tribune that actually said Quinn asks for more spending. Who elected him? I know maybe you all didn't vote for him, but look, we have all had somebody in our family who has said, you get the government you deserve. You have too many people in this state and too many people in this country that have become dependent upon government. And so they vote for the party of government. And that's what you're seeing playing out in Wisconsin. Boy, I'll tell you, I want you to all help me and help get me reelected and give me money if you want and do whatever. And I think we got to put a Republican in the White House, or I don't know that we can ever get this thing back. But if there's another campaign that you're going to work on, get up to Wisconsin and help Governor Walker get reelected. Yeah. I mean, fight hard. You are seeing just crystallize the battle as to what's at stake in this country. You got these public union employees, all they care about is give me mine, give me mine. I don't care if it bankrupts Wisconsin. I don't care if Illinois is going to be $34 billion in debt in 8 years. I want mine. I want my pension to keep growing. Shame on them, and shame on the politicians that cut this deal with them and kept increasing their benefits every year, and they turn around and re-elect these guys. That's why we're in this mess.
What about your freeze?
Huh?
What about your freeze? What about what's going on in the House right now with the pensions and all that? What's going on for the reform there in the federal one?
Nothing.
Right.
No, I agree. Nothing. Huge problem at the federal level. Nothing. Part of the problem is, and you gotta kind of take a longer view. So I'm going to put a smile on my face because I feel like I'm preaching too much. Look, here's what we're going through right now. Okay? I know it's Super Bowl Sunday. We're going to watch a great football game in a few hours. We're going to enjoy time with our family and our friends, and then we're going to go back to work on Monday. Here's where we're at. Young, old, white, black, rich, middle class, poor. Your country right now is going through a revolution. Believe it. The stakes are huge. We are having a knockdown fight about the very soul of this country. If you're not ready for that, then I apologize. Because that's what we're going through. That's what the fight in Wisconsin is all about. That's what the fight in Washington is all about. You got to take a longer view, though. It's going to take us a while to work through this. I don't know how it's going to play out. I want to live in a country where you make money and that money is your money, right?
Right.
You give a little bit to government, right? Just a little bit, right? But generally, that's your money.
I'll donate when I want to.
Huh?
I'll donate to them when I want to.
Okay. But that's your money. This is what America was set up on. You take that money, the fruits of your labor, and you take care of your life. You start a business. You grow a business. You take care of your family. You pick your own health care. You take care of your parents as they get old. You help out your church. You contribute to your charity. You get involved in your community. Right? This is your money, but then the bargain is you then use your money. You're responsible for your life. That was the original American dream. That's what our founders set up. And we are miles and miles away from that American dream. Obama didn't take us away from that. It started about 100 years ago. Now we live in America where you make your money, you make $1, most of that's going to this thing called government. You know why? Because the people in Washington and Springfield don't look at it as your money. It's their money. So, the new American dream is, you make some money, you give it to government, and then government takes care of everything. Government will provide for your health care. Government will take care of your student loans. Hey, you're having trouble keeping that house of yours afloat? Government will bail you out. Government will take care of your parents when they get older. That is the America we live in now. And I would argue this is what the American people have finally gotten up off their couches and said, wait a minute, that's not the free country I want to live in. We have got to get back to that original American dream. And we got a little bit of a window here to try to get back to it. It's what I try to always keep in the back of my head when I get on that airplane every week with a big frown on my face and I go to Washington. I want to fight to get us back to that American dream. And it's why I am always fighting with my own party. My own party doesn't like me. The Democrats, they throw darts at me. I'm like target number one. Because both parties have stolen this original American dream from us. Now, Obama doesn't get it. I'm sure he's a nice guy. I'm sure he means well. He has no clue as to what freedom is. No clue. He has no clue as to what it means to try to start a business in McHenry. And all you want is for government to get out of your way so you can grow a business. And all this guy wants to do is regulate and tax the heck out of that business. Why? Again, this isn't complicated. Because he doesn't believe it's your money. They can take care of things better than you can. You can't take care of your mom when she's older. Government can do a better job of that. You can't find your own health care. You're not smart enough to find your own health care. Government needs to do that. And the dollar that you make, oh, you're not capable enough of doing good things with that dollar. Government needs to do that. Government knows how to make that dollar work. That's not the country we live in. That's Europe. That's other things. That's not America. That's what we are losing. We can't. We just can't. Yes, sir.
Yeah. I agree with everything you've been saying today. I sent you to Washington to be my voice, and you've been a great voice the first year. But now, since you moved down to the new district, you've disappeared from Fox News. You say you got to get the base fired up, and you're the guy that can do it. But it's like they put a muzzle on you. I don't watch MSNBC because I haven't seen you for a while.
I'll just say
you need to say what you're saying here on TV because there's a lot more than 40 people need to hear it.
I will only say this: if you don't think I'm outspoken enough, then
The
we're
last
really
month
in
or two.
trouble.
No, the last month or two.
Don't worry, I will, Dave. I will continue to be out there. Nobody will put a muzzle on me. I'm running in. This is still my district. I'm still the congressman here for the next year. I'm still the congressman, and I'm running in that new district down there. Nobody's going to shush me up because again, I don't care about my reelection. That's on tape. That'll be used against me. We're in this fight, and I will not shy from this fight. I'm on TV all the time. I'm not going to stop screaming. I promise you.
On Fox, because that's all I watch.
Well, but let me make this point. I'm going to get on my high horse.
I'm not stupid.
Don't just watch Fox. Don't just watch MSNBC. Don't just read the Wall Street Journal. Don't just read the New York Times. You better be watching and listening to both sides. If you tend to agree with my viewpoint, I can tell you there are people in Washington that have the total opposite viewpoint. They don't want to go back to a free America. They don't. And they're every bit as fired up as I am. You need to know how they think. Their goal, and I wish young people understood this more. Young people don't get it. They need to. Huh?
Ouch. Ouch.
Well, you get it. You're here. No, young people don't sufficiently understand how important and sacred freedom is. Because you know why? When you're young, and you can listen to a Democrat say, there are times I go to bed every night wishing I were a Democrat. Life would be so easy. I would wake up every morning and I would say, I'm going to give you things today. I will give you free health care. I will bail you out of your student loans. I'll give you a house. I'll give you. Life is easy when you're a Democrat. And young people respond to that. Oh, poor people will be better off if we just give them things. It's an easy message. Republicans have a tougher message. I don't want to give you anything. You elect me, you're not going to get anything from me. My job is to make sure that place, Washington, takes less from you. So you can keep more of what you make and you're more responsible for your own life. Now listen to that. That's a harder message to sell. Too many people in this country want to be given something. Give me. Yes, sir.
Statistic they gave on 5 days ago was he said now 48%.
Don't forget to order things. I'm going to hear that bell ring.
48% of the U.S. population is either getting state or federal aid.
Yes.
So I also see polls where as much as 46 or 48 approval rating for Obama. I don't know who those people are. Then I find out it's about 48% of the people in the country get some sort of entitlement. So how can you get these votes of these people to look at a long-term view when they're counting week to week
and now the government's got them counting on month-to-month money coming in.
Look.
And they have $1 billion to tell people, if you don't elect Obama, the Republicans are going to take this money.
Why do you think I have gray hair? I had black hair 2 months ago. Why do you think this is why I'm so scared. And my barber is here. He'll attest to that.
Now, what's the message? How do you?
No, I know.
How do you get these people to say we may have to take this money from you now, but it'll be better for you later?
This is why we are in such scary shape right now. The highest percentage of Americans ever in our history are dependent upon government. What does that mean? That means the highest percentage of Americans ever are getting benefits from government. That's not by accident. The other side has been working this for years. Unfortunately, they've bought and sold too many African Americans. The African American leadership has just sold out African Americans. They've convinced them that it's better to be dependent upon government. So in many ways, and Republicans got to figure out a way to reach out to African Americans and show them how they're destroying themselves by being dependent upon government. I worry about Hispanics. Democrats are doing the same thing right now to Hispanics, just trying to suck them in. Come on, be dependent upon government. Because once they can get them dependent upon government, they have a vote. That's why right now is so scary. When I was running, a wonderfully 70-something-year-old lady jumped up at one of my town halls and said, "My God, we have, for the first time in our history, we have more people in the wagon than are pulling the wagon." She's right. You can't sustain that. And you know what? It's not enough to say that you can't sustain it. It's not enough to say, oh, we can't afford it, we're going to be broke. It should be enough to say that's not right. That's not what men and women have died for in this country. Not to create a society where we're all dependent upon government. When this president talks about fairness and you got to take care of your fellow man, he's right. We take care of our fellow man, not government. We do. Again, remember, in our America, that dollar you make, you get to keep most of that money. What else do you get to do with that money? You get to contribute to charity. This used to be the most charitable nation in the world, but every time we give more money to government, we give less on our own to charity. It's wrong. It goes against everything America was founded on. And I don't know how Republicans are going to figure out how to talk about this. I like Mitt Romney. I like Newt Gingrich. I like them all. But I know we're not going to have a nominee that talks like this. I don't know many people that talk like this. I wish we did. Yes, sir, at the bar.
I want to first of all say something, Joe. Thank you for being my congressman.
Thank you.
In this district before, when there was a young lady that was here, then let me tell you something. Every day I was swearing at the newspaper because of the statements that she was making. I run my own business. I run a business which is healthcare. And I want to thank you again for sponsoring legislation which is separating brokers' commissions from the medical loss ratio.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to survive. We're going to be on government just like everybody else.
They're going under right now.
Exactly. We are going under. And our only praise and hope is the Supreme Court and the American people to vote Obama out.
This is so important, and there's so much we don't pay attention to. I haven't been this fired up in a while. Right there is a great issue. Part of this legislation is taking away brokers' commissions. Why? Because this president wants to drive you out of business. He won't say it. Obamacare was the first step toward government-run health care. He won't say that, because if he said that, nobody would vote for him. Some people would, but most of America wouldn't.
And most of the people in this room don't know that next year, when they sell their home,
yes,
that they're going to have to pay another tax.
to the federal government.
Did you realize that was part of the healthcare legislation? Another tax next year? Yes, let's go in the corner. Hey, hold on, let me say something. I ran because of people like you. Because I said from day one that the small business person in this country has a target on their back from this administration. I commend you because I don't know how the heck you survived.
Ditto to what you just said. Thank you, Joe. And I think really all of us in this room, what I did is I tried in my own head, what can I do? I got over the phone to my children. Son's an artist, two, my daughter's 37. Both on their own business. I don't run a business. I'm asking them to tell 5 people, and they can tell 5 people. Those 5 people tell 5 more people, and then we, right here, need to do something about it. Not ask for handouts from anybody. Each one of us.
Yeah, it's, you know, guys, it's not about. Go ahead.
I was just wondering what your stance was on the regulation of the internet.
Don't touch it.
Don't touch the internet.
Don't regulate it. Yes. Don't touch the internet. Yes. And I was one of the fighters against SOPA and all of this. It's an area where government is dying to get their hands into, and I say hands off, lay off.
Thank you.
I'm trying to get my, unfortunately, Democratic friends to listen to WLS radio, talk radio. And so what I'm doing is I got a copy of Marshall Dinn's Maricopa book, and I'm circulating that to all my friends just to try to give them an idea of how to think out of the box. Because they don't pay attention, they don't understand all the issues that we real balance. And I'm not good at really talking about every single thing that will come up. So that's what I'm trying to do. How do we get the word out? Because they don't listen to WLS talk radio. They don't listen to Fox to hear really what's happening. They, you know, like my mom, she goes, well, you know, they're biased, you know. And I'm like, well, yeah, but if you listen, you know, and like you said, not just NBC and all that, listen to what they're saying. They're not lying, you know. And so that's all I can do. And I don't know what to do, you know, other than talk to my friends and family. It's frustrating.
Look, and then I'll come back here. I know we consider ourselves Republicans or Democrats or independents, and maybe I'm a Republican, not maybe. Maybe I shouldn't say this. Take your party affiliation this year, wad it up, and throw it out the window. You either want to fight to save what this country was founded on, or you don't. And I will support anybody who is willing to run through the wall to save the freedom that this country was built on. If you genuinely, look, I know this is a diverse country. If you genuinely want bigger government and you want most of this country dependent upon government, then by golly, work to get rid of people like me. But don't think in terms of party. Think in terms of freedom.
Presidential candidates leave that one.
I don't know that. Probably none of them. But understand, I got kind of a lonely job because very few people in Washington talk like I do. We're just beginning. This thing is just starting. It took us a long time to get in this mess. And thankfully, the American people woke up a couple of years ago, and they sent guys like me to Washington to try to do this. We got a long ways to go. I don't have my dream presidential candidate. But here's what I know. And again, if this offends you, I apologize. Every single day that this president is in the White House, he is destroying what makes this country great. My removing him from the White House, respectfully, is more important than sending me back. I'm going to do everything. And we all have to think that way. And if Romney doesn't float our boat, or Gingrich doesn't make us smile, tough. The objective has got to be respectfully, I've got to remove this guy from the White House. And then I got to make sure Republicans do what we sent them there to do. And let me remind you, if they don't, watch out. Watch out. You again, young man.
What? If Congress has got an 11% approval rate, if they put in term limits in 10 years, it would be 80%.
I'm with you. And so when I got elected, I said 6 years. I pledged myself I would never serve more than 6 years. And 6 months ago, I also introduced legislation to amend the Constitution calling for term limits. I agree.
You got 9 people.
9 people co-signed it.
How many do you have now?
9. Hey, quit asking trick questions. Hey, security, cut them off. I still have 9. Yes, ma'am.
I would agree with this gentleman here in the sense that you have a lot more constituents that live in McHenry County than the 47. So in terms of livening up the group, I mean, you know, I'll tell you what made me come alive, and that's when CMS voted to not include dietitians in providing obesity therapy. So we can't bill Medicare for obesity counseling. 6 in 10 people that live in McHenry County are either overweight or obese. You have 16,000 kids in McHenry County that are obese. Not overweight, but obese, not at risk, obese. This is the #1 driving factor for diabetes, which is the #7th killer in McHenry County. So what are we going to do?
I mean, like every healthcare issue, that's got to be an issue where there is a public role, there's a public research role, there's a public funding role. What was the question? Bringing up obesity and diabetes and like a number of healthcare issues. What is government going to do with some of these problems? The problem we face now is, and again, this is all of our fault, we have asked government to do so much that the very basic things that we might want our government to do, there's no funding for. When it comes to any sort of disease research, any sort of disease advocacy, that's a role for our government. So I stand before you as a limited government guy that when it comes to problems of obesity, I want my government playing a role in that, in educating people, in working with people, in researching. Problem right now is money is so tight because we want money for everything that basic health research we don't have money for. Basic defense things we don't have money for. Truly securing our border we don't have money for.
Hey, Joe.
So I agree with you. So in this transitional period right now, and I don't know how long it's going to be, where funding is really bumpy, the best you can do is just keep lobbying the heck out of government at all levels and organizations like yours to try to make sure your little piece is still taken care of. But I'll admit, it's going to be a bumpy few years.
Can I piggyback on the lobbying part? Because I tried to contact your office to get an appointment in April, and that was 3 weeks ago, and nobody has called me.
You contact me directly. Before you leave, I'll give you my personal stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Because this has come up with you and me before, right?
Joe.
You get my personal stuff.
I
Yes.
want the government to tell me you can't have that donut today.
No, I agree. We're not talking about that. We're not talking about
No,
that.
but they could put the calories on there so that at least you know what you're eating. You know what I'm saying?
Tell me, don't do this.
No, it's just
Giving
an
you
education.
information.
Just an education.
Absolutely, absolutely. Again, I'm a limited, you know me, I'm a very limited government guy. There's a role I want my government playing in educating people on healthcare concerns. I don't want them telling us to do anything. I don't want them paying for our healthcare, but there's an education and advocacy role that government can play, along with the private sector.
Just a general comment. This lady had mentioned that she had a hard time people said caution pies. And actually they did a survey since the start of the Republican primary cycle, and negative ads, Republican and Democrat on network news run 2 and 3 to 1 negative about Republicans to Democrats. And on Fox it's actually 52-48. But when you're up against all the other networks saying that Fox is the most biased, you know, and the worst one to listen to. Again, it comes back to
Look,
how are you going to sway these votes from
It's-
48% of people that somehow still approve of Obama?
Because still, there aren't enough of them.
But if they're not watching Fox every day on 2,
It
5,
doesn't
7,
matter.
9/11,
We have a small window. If we don't do something pretty quickly, we're going to get to a point where people that think like I do can never win again. We're not there yet, but we are very, very close to there. But again, let's be really objective. Both sides play politics, and if this next campaign, let's just hypothetically say it's between Romney and Obama. If this next campaign gets really nasty and negative, and we talk about Romney's religion and Obama's religion, and where was Romney born and where was Obama born, and how much money does Romney make, how much money does Obama make? If it gets into that kind of an election, we're going to lose. It had better be based on the issues, because we're at such a crucial point right now. I don't worry. There are still enough people that don't want to go the way we're going. But 4 years from now, will there be enough people? I don't know. That's why this election is so darn important. This is everything. This is everything. If you believe in what this country was founded on. And you know what? Maybe not everybody in this restaurant believes in what this country was founded on. I don't want to speak for everybody. You in the back.
Given your own redistricting problems, I wonder if you had any thoughts on what the Republicans are doing now in Western Florida.
What? Oh, he's fine now. He found another district.
I know he found another district.
All the way in the back. You, ma'am.
I'm going to research the constant suggestions for helping young people. I've got college kids of my own, and my own kids are conservative. But how do we get kids to understand that at this age, free money is not a good thing? That throwing all this money and spending all this money is a bad idea. When I was in college in the 80s, we had the best example for how socialism didn't work, and that was the Soviet Union. We no longer have that example. I'd like it to see that.
Look, it's really, I'll say really one more time. It's hard to get young people to understand the value of freedom and limited government. What was the old saying? And again, maybe this was Churchill or this was somebody. If you're 20 years old and you're not a liberal, you have no heart. If you're 40 and you're not conservative, you have no head. Most young people want to take care of all the animals. They want to take care of all the poor people. They want to take care of that panda bear. And they want everybody to live in a nice home and have a nice college education. And they think, because they're young, well, that must mean that government needs to do these things.
They're taught that.
Well, like they're taught that, but it's also, it's when you're young, you're more liberal in that you want to help people. What you don't realize when you're young is the best way to help people is don't give them a fish, teach them to fish, right? We Republicans, I wish I could go around the country. I wish somebody would pay me to go around the country and to talk to young people all day about how cool freedom is, how vital freedom is. Because when I sit in front of an audience and I paint the picture, here are the two Americas. In one America, you make $1, you keep 90 cents. 90 cents of that dollar is yours, and then you take care of your life. Or you live in America, you make $1, you give the government 65 cents, and government takes care of your life. Which America do you want? Most young people say, oh, I like that America. We don't talk to them like that, though. I don't know. It's a real problem. I wish I had an easy answer. We could maybe give them the wrong election date. It better not be on tape. I was kidding. That's going to come back to bite.
That part got edited out.
Yes. Good to see you.
Twice before. I'll ask you that. What have you done since you were elected to reduce the regulatory advantages, the tax advantages that you said companies over 200 employees should not have? You said about 200 employees, because you define that as small business. Because I want to see small business left alone, but I don't want to see bigger business substitute. I'm a true capitalist.
No, and I'm with you, and I don't want to see big business capitalize either.
Have you done anything in terms of legislative efforts to foster what you said you agree with?
I'm trying to think.
I asked you.
Yeah, no,
the only place I can find out what I'm trying to get a definition of what is a small business. The only one I can get is a small business administration. That's 500 employees. That's only about 3 employers. So I said, what do you think the number is? You said about. I don't mind 200 employees. They're about to be okay. So I asked them, should there be any regulatory or tax dispensations for companies larger? And you said, probably not. I understand the legal road there, but it's okay. What have you done to advance that?
Two issues. I have tried to reduce the regulatory burden on businesses of any size. I mean, I've probably voted 93 times this last year to repeal every darn regulation I can think of. I've tried to vote against any special benefit that came up for any big business. I'm drafting legislation right now to redefine small business and to mandate that the head of the SBA has to publicly come before Congress and argue for any adjustment they make in any regulation of small business. But I'm drafting. Go ahead. I don't have my sheet. Yes, which prompted us to draft this legislation. No, it should be introduced next week. No.
Smaller government, less financial burden, more all of us. I grew up in a family business as well, and I'm a vet, so I've worked for the largest and the smallest. I think what I just heard you say is we should be paying a 10% tax. 10% of our gross, we nail you down this one. 10% of our gross income is what you would like to see we pay the federal government for taxes. Is that true? You just said.
Yeah, you said as an example. I don't know if I thought of that as my tax rate. I think that generally I favor a very low flat tax. I'm still intrigued by the fair tax, so I am intrigued by the sales tax. But generally, I'd support any sort of flat tax, anywhere between 10 and 15%.
How much smaller percentage of the dollar would the government have to be funded by that kind of tax rate?
I don't know. But
you should find out.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be rude.
No, I know.
I'm just saying, I hear lots of glowing terms and emotional rhetoric being put forth by us as citizens and you as our elected representative. I want some answers. Not to pick on Bill Clinton, but I want to know what is. And Congressman, that's your real job. Your real job is to give us some specifics so that we can make informed, intelligent decisions. I applaud what you said. Check your news sources from many directions. You know, there are some great, well-written, intelligent publications out there. Like the Christian Science Monitor. I have to be Christian, but that's not why I read it. I read it because it's well-written and it's thoughtful. There's places to get information so you can make informed decisions. I want you to give us the specifics, so forgive me. We can nail your ass to the cross if you don't.
Well, that's fascinating because no one's ever accused me of not being specific. So let me be specific. I generally support a flat tax of somewhere between 10 and 15%, but I am intrigued with this the fair tax. I would return our boys and girls home from Afghanistan tomorrow. I would get rid of the Federal Department of Education tomorrow. I do the same thing with energy, commerce. I would dramatically change entitlements in this country. I would dramatically change Medicare. I would allow young people to begin saving for their own retirement when it comes to Social Security.
What's your corporate tax rate?
I would begin drilling immediately all over the place. I would get rid. I would get rid of the estate tax tomorrow. I do not believe in a death tax, rich, middle class, or poor. I would zero out the capital gains tax. I would lower, if not zero out the corporate tax. I'd certainly lower the corporate tax rate dramatically.
So how much smaller?
Hopefully a hell of a lot smaller.
Yeah,
Come up with a number. Is it going to be 50% smaller than it is now? I want to know what kind of savings you're talking about to buy to all of us in this room.
Well, the savings will come initially in allowing you to keep a lot more of your own money. And then, at the same time, we work toward shrinking government. But at the same time, by allowing me to keep more of your money, I am one of those guys that believes you then begin to grow the private economy. If you're able to keep more of your own money, you and the business you run will invest capital, you'll sprout businesses, you'll hire more people for your own business. Paradoxically, that may lead to more government revenue. I mean, historically, I believe when we've lowered taxes, when we've lowered the marginal rate, government revenues have typically gone up. Now, that's not why I would do it, because I don't know that I want revenues to go up. I want to do it. It's philosophical. Thank you. But it's a great question. But give me your first name again. Steve, it's a great question. I haven't gone through the exact percentage with which I want to shrink government. I think more programmatically, there's a lot that our government's doing that I don't want them involved in. So I'd rather focus on what government does and remove those functions. And I think by doing that, we will shrink government. I don't believe in giving oil companies subsidies. I don't want to subsidize other forms of alternative energy. I don't want to be given foreign aid all over the world to countries that don't like us. I think in terms of what I don't think our government should be in the business of doing. And if we can remove a lot of those things, then by definition, government will be smaller. But I'm also, let me close on this, and if I'm a broken record, but you've heard me say this before, every little program I just mentioned are all things that we should do, but the big elephant in the room is healthcare, whether we want to admit it or not. And maybe this is something we get across to young people. The biggest problem we have in our country right now, from a spending standpoint, is more and more and more and more and more Americans are living longer and longer and longer. How are we going to pay for all that health care? Now, I don't want my government paying for all that health care. I don't think they can. I don't think they'll do it efficiently. And I think the quality of health care will be terrible. I want my government being a safety measure. But we have to have that discussion, or Medicare will not be around for people in their 20s and 30s right now. Yes, Court.
I just wanted to say we've got to get our debt. Dollar or debt.
Or we'll never recover. If we don't, again, if we don't, 20 years from now, your kids, your grandkids are going to be making X. They're going to be making, maybe they'll be lucky. Maybe they'll have a nice job and they'll make $150,000 a year. 20 years from now. But $120,000 of that's going to go to government to pay for the things that we don't have the courage to deal with now. Now, again, that's not a legacy that I want to leave to my kids. Do our kids get that now? No. But it's up to us to teach them that. Yes, sir, young man.
Oh.
Young man, that's your cue.
Well, I was just going to say, the state of Field is happy to go back to Washington. If you could change your couch to a number bed, would that make a difference?
Technically, I no longer sleep on my couch. I got one of those blow-up mattresses. So it's on my floor every night. It's a little bit more of a comfortable sleep. Yes, sir.
The NDAA, the suspension of habeas.
I voted against it.
Whose brain dead idea was that?
Too many people in government who want that power. And we did whatever we could to postpone that vote and remove those two sections. I think there are only 22 of us Republicans that voted against it. I'm co-sponsoring legislation to try to repeal those two sections. Probably won't go anywhere.
Does Congress spare us that much?
I think your government does. Congress and the executive. Deep down, the president wanted that authority as well.
Absolutely.
One of the keys on this whole election for Republicans is to repeal Obamacare. That's what I tried to tell people. So if Romney ends up getting the nomination, if I was Obama, at the first debate, I would say, wait just a second before I answer that first question. I just want to thank Mitt and his staff for coming to the White House and helping us work out all the bugs in Obamacare. We couldn't have done it without them. These guys are great. They understand one-payer candidate system. How do you overcome that if he ends up being the nominee? You look like a jerk.
Well, again, he would have said what I said months ago when he said, you know what, it was a mistake. I've learned from my mistake. But he didn't say that. What he's fallen back on is the federalism argument, which is I don't want my federal government doing that. States can decide any kind of program they want, and there's some validity to that argument. That's probably what he's going to have to ride. I have no doubt that he is 100% genuine when he says he will repeal Obamacare immediately. I believe that.
But it's perception. Again, 2, 5, 7, 9, 11, 3 to 1.
I agree. But let me ask you something. If Romney's the nominee, who are you going to work hard for to get elected? Thank you. With all of his flaws. They all have flaws. Look, here's the other thing. Get off your high horse. There's no perfect candidate. We all, thankfully, I don't have any stuff. I mean, I ran some pretty I'm probably one of those rare candidates that had nothing in my closet. But full of millionaire boy and girl scouts. No! I lost a home 3 years ago. I have struggled financially for 5 years. I'd rather elect people who understand what we all go through.
Yeah.
Don't think you can nominate or elect somebody perfect. That'd be pretty boring. And second point I'll make. Good God, don't look. We did this 3 years ago. Don't look for your president to be a savior. Too many people thought we elected one 3 years ago. You are your own savior. Get us back to where this is your life. And all I want my government to do is create the rules of the road and then get out of the way and let me live my life. Don't look toward your president to be anybody perfect. They're all flawed. One more question. 2 more.
I don't have
3.
a question. I want to thank you for giving back to the government along with the other colleagues.
I wish I could have kept it all, and I could have kept it. I'm kidding.
Hey, Joe, good keep that. They couldn't hear her.
But we get we had a press conference last week. There were 8 of us freshmen. You know, we all get a congressional budget, and I had about 13% of my budget left that I didn't spend. And we asked Speaker Boehner to, I gave it back. It was about a couple $100,000, and I said, give it immediately to debt reduction. 8 of my colleagues joined me.
Who were they?
8 other freshmen. Sutherland.
Nobody we know?
Nobody. Yeah, they're all from down south. And me. Good guys. Yes, sir.
Budget Committee Chairman Paul Ryan is in the next couple of weeks going to release the New Year's budget. What do you think should be included in that new budget?
Again, in my dream budget, there are dramatic cuts. I'd be very specific about actual program eliminations, and there'd be real entitlement reform. I.e., here's Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security, and here are real reforms to save these programs. Let me just make one point. This president hasn't put forth a serious budget. Harry Reid just came forward again and said, we're not going to do a budget again this year. So the Republicans in the House are the only ones doing the bare minimum of their job to present a budget. I hope it's got real cuts. Because here's what I believe. Every dollar, right? Every dollar that Washington doesn't spend is a dollar that we do. So my goal in life is just to eliminate all those dollars that Washington spends so that you can spend them here at the FireWood. Or invest them in your family. Or start a business. Last question. It had better be a good one.
Are you going to Barney Frank's wedding?
The question was, am I going to Congressman Frank's wedding? That's one question I will not answer. I will say this, I haven't been invited. Hey, everybody, I'm going to stick around for a little bit. God bless. Go Giants, go Patriots. I want everybody to win.